Impossible. As we pray this evening on this anniversary of September 11th, we remember the timeline and the challenges that our city faced, in particular our community. We recall what we did, which was necessary that day and evening. We give thanks to our first responders and our military personnel who continue to protect us.
Thank you very much. Bill Guarnello, also the CEO of HeartShare, and finds the time and the energy to be the manager, not the manager, but the chairman of Community Board 11, and obviously doing an outstanding job here. Give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate his service and his work. Obviously, we're very appreciative of the Colonel and his lovely wife being here today, and we appreciate the good service that this Colonel gives, and of course the love of this great base here in this community for Hamilton, who played such an important role at 9/11. If you can remember, and I'm sure everybody here can, is how this pier was and the tops of all of these buildings. There were thousands upon thousands of people looking at the smoke and for months coming out of the 9/11 pit. And the smell of rubber, burnt rubber, that was throughout this entire city for months. And that was a combination of human flesh and the burning of material that was burnt in that building that caused that smell that I will never, ever forget. As a New York City police officer, and Captain Festino can attest to it, when you go into your a DOA, a dead on arrival person that's been there for a while, there is a certain odor that never leaves you, and that is that smell, that taste of death. And that's what we smelled here and we tasted for many, many months. And it was very, very sad. And it's still very, very sad. So I want to thank you all for being here tonight. There were so many different groups here. We can't even start to recognize. I see Ragamuffin out there. I see the 3rd Avenue Board of Trade and the 5th Avenue Board of Trade. And I'm not going to get myself in trouble here. The 6-8 Precinct Council President Eileen. I see a lot of different groups here, but I want to really just poke around, as I do see, and mention some of them. And I know that Bill Guarnello did a great job at announcing Mr. Leposki or Lipinski. I don't know how you go with that. Is it Leposki or Lipinski? Leposki or Lipinski, guys? Are you sure? We do this each and every year just to pick on Mr. Leposki. He does a great job. Again, give a round of applause to Severian High School, to our Fort Hamilton ROTC, and to the good work that they do. I don't want to go over all of the work that Bill has done. He's mentioned most of you. The one that he did leave out is which I guess is my job, and that's not just thanking the Boy Scouts and the military, but also thanking all of our police responders, our first responders, the fire department. Give them again a round of applause, all of our youth, police departments and our fire departments that are here tonight. But the good fortune of this community is to have the people come out. If you all are back there, come on down here a little bit. The microphone system, they can, okay, good, very good. it is my job to at least thank my staff for a great job, Victoria and Michael and Arlene and John and all of my staff that did a great job in putting this together, and all the volunteers. Give them a round of applause too, because they do an outstanding job. I want to thank you all for being here this evening, and remember those that we lost, and to further strengthen our resolve that we will never, ever forget. Tonight, we continue to show terrorists across the globe that despite their cowardly attempt to destroy our great nation, brave Americans stand tall. We are more united than ever, and we will continue to honor the memories of those that gave their lives and continue to give their lives this very day on September 11th, 9/11. Like all of you, I vividly remember the series of events that affected us all 14 years ago. And I pride myself in saying that we are part of one of the strongest and greatest cities in the world. Our sadness on this solemn day will never cease. And for that, we shall never forget. We join together tonight to never forget, so that we can come together as one people, so that we never forget that more than 3,000 people paid with their lives that morning, and those from illnesses sparked from those attacks that have since perished and continue to perish. And that's not including those that are in pain and in suffering, in wheelchairs and in different hospitals around the country that have suffered from those great losses. Of those who perished during the initial attacks, besides many, scores of people here from Bay Ridge and Bensonhurst and Brooklyn and Staten Island and across this great city and state, as those towers collapsed, 343 of New York City's finest, our firefighters ran into that building and stayed and were there to help and to assist. And 23 New York City police officers and 37 other officers and commanders from the Port Authority, as well as 3 court officers and scores of civilians. Their bravery and sacrifice will always be remembered and honored. For many of us, pain, the loss of that horrific day is still with us. We lost so much, but through all that pain and suffering, what I will never forget was how our community, this very community, and communities like it across this great city, came together immediately and acted following those attacks. In the face of tragedy, I remember how our community, our city, our state came together that day. We took action sending food and supplies into Ground Zero, organizing volunteers to work the Bucket Brigade, and giving blood, donating money, and helping in any way we could, praying and hoping there were people still alive that very day and subsequent days to follow. And then we knew eventually that there were none. But we still wanted to be able to give closure to the families that lost and gave up that day their lives for this great city, knowingly and unknowingly. We rose above the tragedy, above our own personal grief and suffering, above our grief to help our fellow man. I was just talking earlier today, as you listened to those words, as they announced and they started the 9/11 on TV, and they mentioned some of the names. And I remember speaking to some of the people, how, wow, I forgot all about him. Oh, wow, I forgot about her. And how it does slip away from us. And that's why we have to continue to come back to this every year and continue to remember each and every life that was lost that day, so that our enemy will know that we are strong and we stand strong because we are united, and we remain and continue to be united. We showed what it means to be a New Yorker. Nothing can keep us down, stop us, or get in our way. We were a community together to help any way we could. And it was that resolve that brought us through those difficult and tough times. Our strength is our unity and shall never rest until Americans here and abroad are safe from terrorism. Here in the USA, we have freedom. We have liberty. We have justice. A freedom to worship the God we want. The freedom to say what we want and the freedom to live the life we want. Those who died that morning were doing nothing more than embracing the life of freedom, which they were so accustomed to. America is a great place. It is great because the people are great. We mourn tonight because we remember the great Americans who lost their lives. Some gave their life selflessly, others needlessly. All are tragically missed. Never forget what those terrorists did that morning. Never forget how we as a community and as a nation responded. The strength, the resolve, and the unity in the face of those attacks is what separates us from those who would do us harm. Never forget that regardless of race, creed, color, or political affiliation, we are one community. We are united, and we shall never forget. That's why we're all here today, and that's why we've been here for the last 14 years. And God willing, we'll be here every year forward, so that this community, that this city, that this state, that this nation never forgets, and that our enemy knows what we have suffered and what we will do to make sure that no American dies. No American dies in the hand of terrorism. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a great military. We have a great community. We have a great city and state. So may God bless you. May God bless our families and our community. May God bless our city. And may God bless the great United States of America and each and every one of you and your families for coming out here today. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Councilman Gentili, Cafestino, my great partner, all the distinguished guests, but most importantly, the people of Bay Ridge and Bensonhurst and Dyker Heights, especially those who have lost a loved one in the last 14 years. It is my distinct honor to be here with you tonight to commemorate one of the darkest days in the nation's history, a day that tested our cities and our nation's resolve, and again showed the world our true strength, that is the American spirit. We stand here today remembering friends and family lost, innumerable acts of courage and sacrifice, and the lasting effects on our nation at war because of that terrorist attack. We remember the heroism of our first responders, of the countless civilians who volunteered to help, of the thousands of survivors who continue to live their lives. Their memories of that day and the thousands of family members and friends who still feel the depths of their loss.
Never forget, on a crisp Tuesday morning, with the sun shining bright, who could know that we soon would behold such a sight? All our ears heard the rumble, all our eyes in a stare, at the vision of horror, so high up in the air. Could this be just a mishap, just a tragic mistake? One could actually feel the very ground shake. Clear the streets, step aside, the police must get through. And the fire trucks wailing, fully loaded with crews. Then to everyone's utter amazement and shock, yet another explodes, just past 9 o'clock. People fled, women cried, thousands ran for their lives. How could anyone come through this? How could any survive? And the bravest and finest charged to save those in need, we would soon know their valor as they honored their creeds. Then when none of us felt it could get any worse, the first tower succumbed and came crashing to earth. Thousands glued to the tube, disbelief in their hearts. As the second gave way, then it just fell apart.
those poor souls and their loved ones, and their rescuers too. To our utter dismay, there came even worse news. The events that transpired on that day, what a pity, were not to take place just within New York City. Our great Pentagon structure was to suffer the hell and the loss of so many who had served us so well. And we soon all would learn of a Flight 93, all alone in the air where no cameras could see. They charged and they fought in a quest for control. Those brave souls gave their lives as they shouted, "Let's roll." Now the time since that day has flown by very fast. It's now been years ago since that very first blast. We've exacted some justice, more to come I am sure, and no matter the trials, we will surely endure. As a land and a people, we're still strong and upright, but the battle's not over, and our troops must still fight. Let us honor the fallen, both at home and abroad, and their service and courage we still duly applaud. And we think of the loved ones living on every day, with the hurt and the ache that just won't go away. So as we take pause to remember and pray, let us also take time to give thanks on this day. May we also be brave, may our land be restored. Keep us safe in your hands, we pray now, O dear Lord.
Big round of applause for our future leaders here. Okay. So, Therese, you're going to give us another...
Oh,
Please release.
God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know how to be, and I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the ones who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. God bless you, America.
Thank you, everybody. Safe trip home. Thank you for joining us.